How you guys doing? It's Nigel Dunn here to introduce the first part of my training tutorial series. During this series, you will learn exactly what it takes to create a strength training program that you can benefit from immediately. This tutorial is geared towards novice and intermediate lifters. So if you have a significant amount of lifting experience, this might be more of a review for you. It still might contain something that you could benefit from. Please watch each installment, take from it what you can, and with no further ado, this is part one of how to program for novice and intermediate lifters. How you guys doing? It's Nigel here with another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about workout programming. To kick off the video, I want to outline some key terms that you're going to need in order to kind of follow along as I go through the demonstration or presentation. You're going to need to know what a rep is. A rep is essentially one movement of an exercise. So if you're doing bench press, take the bar off the rack, go down, come back up. That's a rep. If you're doing a squat, you go down, come back up. That's one rep of a squat. You're going to need to know what a set is. If a rep is one repetition of an exercise, a set is a cluster or a group of repetitions of that same exercise. So if you do bench press, like we said before, you would go, unrack the weight, come down, go back up. Let's say you're doing a set of 10. Once you complete that 10th rep, that's your set. So a rep is one repetition or one movement of that exercise. A set is a group of that same exercise done in succession. The next word you're going to need to know is intensity. So intensity is essentially how much weight you're using in relation to your 1 rep max. A better word, or a word that you could associate with intensity, is your percentage. So I guess you need to know what a 1 rep max is. That is essentially how much weight you can do at a given or particular exercise. So your 1 rep max is how much weight you can do. Like, you cannot push out 1 more pound. That's the most you can do. And intensity is the percentage of that 1 rep max. Volume. Volume is essentially the total poundage that you have lifted during a certain exercise. So if you're doing squats for the day, that's your primary movement. Your total volume is going to be your poundage times the amount of reps. For my visual learners, if I'm doing squats, right, for 200 pounds, and let's say I'm doing a 5x5. So 5 by 5 equals 25 reps. So 200 pounds times 25 reps is going to equal 5,000 pounds of volume. Sorry for my chicken scratch, but that's essentially as easy as I can explain to you guys. So volume is the total amount of poundage that you're lifting on a given exercise. Failure. Failure is essentially you're trying to do a certain amount of reps. Once you get to the end, if you're not able to get the last rep or the last few reps, then that is going to failure. Sometimes people can associate that word with AMREP, which is as many reps as possible. So if I'm doing curls, right, and I'm burning out, I'm doing 20 curls, or I'm doing AMREP curls, I'm gonna go until failure, until I cannot physically do 1 more repetition of that exercise. So failure is something that can be beneficial, but it's not something that you want to live in. It's something that you might want to use as a tool, as opposed to consistently going to the gym and training to failure. Novice lifters. Essentially, it just means that you're getting started, or you've taken a long hiatus and you're unfamiliar, or at least your body and your muscles are unfamiliar with how it feels to lift weights. Or to just exercise, even if you're not lifting weights. If you're a novice lifter or a novice trainee, then you don't have that built-in experience and that muscle memory for any given exercise that you're trying to do. With novice lifters, this is where you get the most gratification. It's like that return on investment is obvious and in your face. When you're first starting, if you consider yourself weak on the bench and you can only do like the bar, if you're a novice lifter, you might experience like your 1 rep max going up from week to week, maybe 5 to 10 pounds every single week. And that's essentially your body saying, okay, we understand how to do this movement more, and we can unlock that unutilized or unrealized muscle potential, that potential energy, and we're turning it into kinetic energy. Once you become an intermediate lifter, which is the next key term, that progression is going to slow down a little bit, right? You're going to be much stronger. You're going to be realizing a lot of that potential that you unlocked in the beginning of your training, and you're going to be familiar with the movement. So you're going to have a lot more clean form. You're probably going to know what you like and don't like, and it's going to be a very gradual progression as opposed to a 5 to 10 pound jump every single week. So intermediate lifters, you have some experience, you're pretty proficient at the lifts, and you go in the gym, you kind of know what you want to do. That's what I would consider an intermediate lifter. The last word that I have for you all is progression. And progression is something I alluded to in the previous key term, but it's that jump from week to week or any time period. You're gonna want to move up in weight or reps. So for this program, we're gonna talk a little bit more about that toward the end, but just know that progression is pretty straightforward. It's how you progress in weight or reps throughout the duration of your training over a long period of time. We are going to be talking about programming. The objective is to take you from step 1 to step whatever of how you're gonna devise your program. If you're a novice or intermediate lifter and you've never done a workout program before, this is gonna be really beneficial for people who have some training experience. You know how to bench, squat, deadlift, you're familiar with the form. Or if you're a novice and you know you want to start a program as opposed to just finding your way on your own in the gym. If you want something regimented that you can see clear results from, I would highly recommend you watching this video and starting your own program. Let's get into it. The paramount thing you need to identify before you look into programming is determining what you want from a program. Specifically, what is the result that you want to achieve with your physique? For my guys, a lot of times it's either going to be I want to gain strength and get bigger, or I want to stay strong or get stronger and lose fat. For my women, oftentimes it's going to be I want to lose fat or lose weight and build muscle. Specifically, it's like core and butt. They want like bigger butts and smaller waists, right? So the good thing about this video is going to be that even though I'm giving you specific rep ranges for the demonstration, you can take this information and change the rep ranges, but keep the structure and obtain either one of those various goals, whether it's gaining strength and size, toning up your muscle, losing fat. You can just change the rep ranges, and now you pretty much have an idea of what your workout should look like on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. For demonstration purposes, I'm gonna frame this from the perspective of a person who would like to gain strength and size and build muscle, right? And for that, for an intermediate or novice lifter, the thing I recommend to start is a 5x5 training program. The first thing I want to show you guys, let me get this chair out of the way, is sort of like a continuum. This is my continuum. What we have down here is the number 1, we have 15 down there. And these are gonna be essentially your rep ranges. 1 is the strength end of the spectrum, right? So we're gonna write strength. This end of the spectrum is gonna be more so endurance. So if you're all the way at 1, you're strictly working for strength. If you're all the way at 15, you're strictly working for endurance. So let's write endurance down here. This is my strength bracket. Anywhere from 1 to 8, you're still in that strength rep range. My sweet spot for strength development, at least in my experience, and this is all kind of speaking from my training experience, but from 3 to, I'll say 8, that is like the sweet spot for strength training, right? For endurance, I'm gonna put a bracket right here. And from 10 to 15, you're pretty much in that endurance range. That's where you're going to, when people talk about muscle toning, they talk about like, losing fat. That is where you're pretty much gonna live. That's that 10 to 15 range. Sometimes people say like 12 to 15, but anywhere from 10 to 15 is endurance. Then finally, we come to hypertrophy, which I would say is about right here. So it's a little bit more all-encompassing. Pretty much when you lift and you feel that burn at the end of your set, that is what we're gonna call, or that's what you call hypertrophy. What hypertrophy means is to get bigger. So when you're looking to gain size or just stimulate muscle growth so you can have those abs show, or you can have your tricep come through, or you want to get a more developed chest, that's where you're going to start to see those cuts. If you're consistently doing hypertrophy training, you're going to start to see that. But what you want from a program is some blend of all of these aspects. Typically, what I recommend is to start your 5x5 and then do all of your accessories, or the majority of your accessories, with some sort of blend of endurance or hypertrophy rep ranges.